When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour. When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll.
Hey, Tyler.
Oh, hey, Pat.
What's going on? Welcome to the New Score Podcast. My name is Pat. This is my co-host, TYG, Tyler Pratt. Tyler, how are we doing?
We be doing. It's another blessed week. Can't complain. How about yourself?
Always is. Doing great. We got a lot to cover. Week 3 was action-packed. I mean, that 1 o'clock window alone was insane. That Rams game left me nauseous. I had to take a break from the couch for a bit, go out, catch some sun, go in the pool, and just unwind a little bit because that was sickening. And we're going to get into that. But we got more than just the Week 3 slate to go through. We got Dime of the Week to discuss. We got the game-changing play to discuss. And we got You're Fired to talk about as well. Debuting those segments for the first time this season. And then we're also going to look at some early MVP betting odds. And we're going to look ahead a little bit to the Week 4 slate. Just looking at the lines, there are some things that stick out to me right now that I'm about to pull the trigger on right now, but I wanted to see how you were feeling as well, and maybe we can agree on something and get a head start in on a line that we really like. But let's get into it. Debuting for the 2025 season, Dime of the Week. Less than 3 minutes left. Down 7 in the game. Division opponent in your house. Justin Herbert takes the snap. Feels pressure right up the gut. Zach Allen is coming right at him. He sheds him. He's rolling to his left, Tyler. He's got Nick Bonito, one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL, coming at his chin. Pause. Arm extends. Herbert torques his whole upper body off of one leg. Throws an absolute dime in the end zone. Hits Keenan Allen. Perfect stride. Defender was draped all over him. You couldn't have handed the ball to him in a better spot. Chargers tie the game. Defense comes out, forces a 3-and-out on Denver's offense at Bo Nix. Herbert gets the ball back, drives him down the field. Cameron Dicker, the kicker, kicks the game-winning field goal. And the Los Angeles Chargers are 3-0. They got a 2-game lead on the AFC West division. And Justin Herbert, his stock is just going up and up and up in that MVP race. We've always seen the talent, but we're really seeing it come to fruition this season. Congratulations to Justin Herbert for the Week 3 Dime of the Week.
Congrats. Attaboy, Herbie.
Any takes on that throw or just the end of that game in general? Or just how Herbert's balling right now? I mean, we've always known the guy is super talented coming out of Oregon. You know, there was that debate between him and Tua. Personally, I was always on board with Herbert over Tua. I was always in that crowd. But it got to a point where it's like, hey, you know, it's time for this guy to get going. You know, we know he's super talented, but we got to start seeing some more production out of him. And right now, Tyler, they're letting him. They gave him the keys to that offense in Los Angeles. And Harbaugh, he told him, man, this is your team. Lead us. And he's done that 3 straight weeks now. And We're going to talk about the MVP odds. Right now, he's at plus 550. He's just climbing way up the ranks in that. So that is our dime of the week. Now let's get to the game-changing play, to a game that we talked about a lot in the Week 3 preview. Green Bay Packers 2-0, going 0-2 Cleveland Browns. Said it time and time again. I said don't sleep on those Cleveland Browns. 8.5 is a lot of points. I loved the under in this game, and it was never a doubt with the under. And that's exactly how it went. The game was just static. Neither offense was doing anything. Both defenses were playing just as you and I expected. The score is 10-3 late in the game, 3rd and 3, and Jordan Love throws it right to Grant Delpit. Receiver wasn't in the area. Not sure if it was a miscommunication or what, but he put the ball right in Grant Delpit's hands. Delpit picks it up, goes inside the 5. Very next play, Kinshad Junkins scores a touchdown for Cleveland to tie it up when you thought they were dead in the water because they couldn't move the ball the whole game. And they get that short field. They put it in the end zone. And then Green Bay gets it back, goes down the field, and Cleveland blocks the field goal. They block the field goal. Flacco puts him in field goal range, and then Schmizit kicks the game-winning field goal to give Cleveland their first win of the season. Major upset, 8.5-point dogs at home, and the dog pound was rocking. So game-changing play of the week, momentum swinger, was that Jordan Love interception to Grant Delpit when it's like they probably could have punted the ball on 3rd down. I don't think the Browns were going to march 60 yards downfield to score a touchdown in that game. So massive momentum swing in that game. Any takes on that?
No, other than that's just a game Green Bay can't lose. But, I mean, especially with how competitive their division is going to be down the road, that's one they got to have. But just a quick look ahead, Cleveland's plus 10 again. Well, not again, but they're plus 10 this week on the road at Detroit. So just something to think about there.
Next and final segment, and this guy I went in on multiple times last season. His first game out there as an NFL head coach, I criticized how he completely threw his quarterback under the bus, and you just don't do that, especially after your first game as an NFL coach. It's just an awful look. Let's dive into this. The score is 17-6 with 42 seconds left in the first half. The Tennessee Titans have the ball approaching field goal range. It's 3rd and 3. Cam Ward gives a handoff to Tony Pollard. He gets stuffed up the gap for a couple yard gain. It's going to be 4th and 1. Indianapolis calls a timeout to force Tennessee's hands, whatever they're going to do. So you have the entire duration of the timeout that Indianapolis used to make your decision as a head coach. Not to mention, if you're going to run the ball on 3rd and 3 in that situation, you should know whether you're going to go for it or not. Based on if you get it or not, you should know that, hey, we're going to run it here. We don't get it. We're going to get on the ball, and we're going to go for it. Indianapolis calls him timeout. They do him a favor. They give him time to think about it. And the offense is out on the field, and there's just no urgency from Tennessee's sideline. Brian Callahan, head coach, he's got something. I don't know what maybe he's, focused on something up in the stands that he sees or something on the scoreboard. Maybe he's getting a little hungry and he just wants to, he's thinking about eating a hot dog in the locker room at halftime. I'm not sure what's going through homie's mind, but he has no idea what he's doing. They use a timeout. So Indianapolis uses a timeout. You have the whole duration of their timeout, and then you call your own timeout. You have the entire duration of your timeout. Play clock starts running. Offense is still out on the field. You're thinking they're going to go for it. No. Now we're going to trot out the kicking unit. Okay, so you waited all that time just to trot your kicker out anyways. Well, they waited too long because they got to delay a game when they were about to kick a field goal, which a 57-yard field goal then became a 62-yard field goal. Joey Sly, he's got a big leg, but if you're counting on your kicker to make a 62-yarder, I mean, come on. And what happens? He misses the kick. Just blatant mismanagement of the clock in that situation. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me because week after week, I've talked about how incompetent of a head coach this dude is. I talked about it last season, right after he threw Will Levis on the bus, week 1. All season long, this Tennessee roster is not bad. You look at this Tennessee roster on paper, and Cam Ward's got some real potential, but boy, I'm feeling bad for him right now that he's got to deal with this dude for his development. And not to mention, Indianapolis gets the ball back after that missed field goal. They go down the field, and they kick their own field goal. So that's a 6-point swing right there. And the fans are booing Callahan and the Titans going into the locker room, chanting, "Fire Callahan," as they should. I can't even imagine being a Titans fan and putting up with just that incompetence at head coach because it's ridiculous, especially going from a guy like Mike Vrabel, who's so structurally sound, so fundamentally sound, to this just debacle of an organization right now. And like I said, I like their roster. They've made some moves in free agency. They've drafted well. They've really improved that offensive line, I think, in my opinion. The defense isn't bad. They're just being, put out in the field too much. It's just a blatant mismanagement of running a football team. So Brian Callahan, it's early. It's after week 3, but you're fired.
Okay, get him out. Get him out. My 2 early favorites to replace him, one could be this year, but most likely won't happen. And that's Mike McCarthy. The other one, it will have most likely happen next year because we all know he's going to be due after last season and what's going to happen this season. That's Joe Brady. So those are the 2 names that come to mind for me. But I think that Brady's going to be the Cohen or the Kellen Moore or the Ben Johnson of this year. He'll be that offensive coordinator who's coveted as a first-time head coach next season, and maybe Tennessee jumps on that. Who's Tennessee's coordinators right now? I'm just thinking interim, who could shake things up there and motivate the boys.
That's a good question. I know his dad is the offensive line coach, legendary. I mean, his
Still.
dad's a fucking legend, Bill Callahan. He's one of the top 5 offensive line coaches in this league for decades. But his boy just ain't got it.
You think they go in the meeting room and you think Bill is just like, son, what the fuck are you doing?
Let your dad run the team, man.
They might. I mean, how many times have we seen the interim head coach be the O-line coach?
Tom Cable is one that comes to mind. I'm not sure anybody else.
Where's our stats guy?
Yeah, we need one. Let's get into these games, though. I do have some notes for a few games. Let's just get it over with and talk about this Rams game. I'll try not to throw up while we're going through this. Rams jump out to a big early lead. There's a favorite bet on the board last week was you get Rams at plus 3.5 going on the road to Philly. It was a no-brainer to me. And they came out balling. Defense looked great. Stafford missed some throws early in that game that I think really could have put the game away. But for the most part, the offense looked good as well. They go up to a 26-9 lead. Kyron Williams catches that touchdown pass. He's hurtling into the end zone, and I immediately got up off my couch, did a fist pump, and I'm just jacked up. I am so pumped in that moment, and I'm like, we're gonna do this shit. Scores 26-9. From that point forward, the Eagles scored 24 unanswered points from that point forward. The Rams didn't score again the entire game. we saw Eagles offense really opened up. And, maybe that game really unlocked something because their offense was just so stale between, the passing game and getting things going on the ground. It just, these first few games, it was not looking good in Philadelphia. And, going more up-tempo, more urgency, spreading things out more, really getting A.J. Brown the ball. Whether he's guarded or not, he's really not because the dude's a beast. So just throw him the ball, and he's going to make a play. And then he's going to stiff-arm somebody to the ground and pick up extra yards after that. You started seeing the juice coming. The defense made some stops when they had to for them. Like I said, Stafford missed some throws that he usually makes that could have extended some drives, put points on the board. There was a play where Kyron Williams had a rushing touchdown. They called it back because they said the center, Coleman Shelton, held. I thought he just bulldozed the guy that was across from him, but apparently it was a holding call, and they got pushed back, and they ended up kicking a field goal instead of getting a touchdown. So that was another critical play in that game. And then the blocked field goals is just like salt in a wound. I mean, you can't convert in the red zone. You got to trot your field goal unit out there, and they get blocked not once but twice, and one being what would have been the game-winning kick. I mean, Stafford did everything he could do. That last drive should have been a game-winning drive. And I'm not going to lie, after the first block, how badly they protected the interior line, I was scared. I was like, oh, this one's probably going to get blocked. I honestly thought it was 50-50 in that point. I was standing up, and my hands were just like this. Sure enough, Jordan Davis bull rushes right through the interior offensive line as if nobody wanted to touch the dude. They get a block, and he picks it up, and not only is it a devastating loss if you're a Rams fan, but for any bettor out there that had the Rams plus 3.5, and for Jordan Davis to pick up that blocked field goal and take it back to the house for 6, that is excruciating. I'm not sure if we're going to see a worse bad beat all season than that, because, like I said, the Rams are up 26-9. They were a 3.5-point dog. You thinking, oh, I'm good. Like, this is money in the bank at this point. And then that happens. They miss the field goal at least. If they miss the field goal, at least you just lose as a Rams fan, right? But no, it's got to be blocked, and they bring it back to the touchdown. So not only am I sick that my team coughed this game up, but now it's affecting my bet. It was just a whirlwind of nausea for me after that. I was completely sick. Like I said, I had to just get up, take a deep breath, and go outside for a bit because it was tough. But any takes you have on this game?
Yeah, I mean, for anybody who had LA as like a team to watch in the offseason coming in, that first half, that's exactly the team that we thought the Rams would be, right? And more, I think most impressively is how they kept Saquon contained, right? I think Saquon averaged less than 3 yards a carry. And everything they were doing in the first half, they looked all of a Super Bowl caliber team. That is what they looked like in the first half. And then we've been watching football long enough. We know that kind of game flow, it doesn't last a whole game, right? When you have two great teams playing each other and one has a really good first half and the other has a terrible first half, it's going to average out, right? So we knew there was going to be a surge. There was going to be a push from Philly. They were going to come out gunning, up-tempo, throwing the ball a lot more. But I did not expect the Rams to just deflate in the second half, which is kind of what happened. And, but I thought that it was, a couple things I saw that I liked from a personal. This isn't really noteworthy, but personally, I like the fact that they got Corum involved because that's my boy. 8 carries for 53 yards, averaging over 6 yards a carry. I think he looks good. Sometimes I don't know who's running the ball. When it's him and with him or Kyron, aren't
He
they
does look
numbers
good.
22 and 23? So
Yeah.
they're very identical in size
They're
and then the same
short.
numbers. So
They're short,
yeah,
thick,
yep,
and very shifty.
right,
Corum is a lot more shifty than I gave him credit for. Like
yeah,
he's seeing the hole and he's getting to it and he's evading defenders very much like Kyron does. So that
right,
is encouraging even in the defeat. That's
hmm,
something that's encouraging. And then obviously Devontae as well. Like
right,
the chemistry is only going to get better and better between Stafford and Devontae. And Puka had a critical drop in the game. Puka had a great game, but there was one play he probably wants back that could have made a
hmm,
difference. But
yeah,
this was just, dude, personally for me, this was awful Sunday as far as betting. And it's like, if I'm just completely wrong on games going into it, I can accept that. It's just like
right,
if I have a bad read on something, that's
hmm.
fine. But
The
when
Bengals,
that's yeah, we're about to get into that, but it's like this Rams game and then like the Texans game, the Patriots game, like so many of these games and then the Bucks not covering as well when they were up big early. There's just so many
yeah,
games.
I will
It was
say
a rough
this:
weekend.
that 1 o'clock window was by far so far this season the craziest, most unexpected roller coaster of emotions that I've experienced, at least again so far
Mm-hmm.
this season through 3 weeks. But uh, I guess the other notes, and it's not so much on that game specifically. It's more so like, what the fuck? Which two block field goals in that game? How many did we have on the week? I feel like there was a blocked field goal in almost every game I watched.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was a memo sent out by the NFL and it was like, "Hey, hit the A gap. You're gonna block a field goal or two." Just like what are the odds? And those that's what gets my brain fucking really you know thinking, and I'm just spinning tires because I'm like, how do we go from nothing through the first 2 weeks to all of a sudden half the kicks are blocked in week 3?
Yeah.
It doesn't. That's not just coincidence, but that's just me fucking. I don't really know.
Let's get into that Bengals game because you and I were both wrong. We were like, who's going to bet Wentz is I think it was 3-point favorite. So I mean, in that situation, backup quarterback, and Carson Wentz, you take the points. Like that was the side to do, and our opinions, and we were just completely. This game was over early. Isaiah Rodgers had an unbelievable game. I mean, 2 defensive touchdowns, and then he also had a punch out for a fumble as well. Like this dude had the game of his fucking life on Sunday. And then Browning, throws multiple picks again. Their run game, Chase Brown had 10 carries for 3 yards. 10 carries for 3 yards. Their leading rusher ended up being Samaje Perine with 21 yards on the ground. And I know the game was getting out of reach early, but you're never gonna win a football game doing that. And like I said, the 2 picks from Browning really killed him. To Wentz's credit, he played efficient. He was 14 to 20 for 173, a couple touchdowns, but he just he was playing up the whole game. He didn't have to do anything spectacular. Jordan Mason looks really good for them. What a great underrated pickup for the Minnesota Vikings too in the offseason was getting him because Aaron Jones historically has been a guy that gets banged up throughout the season. And we saw how good Mason was for McCaffrey when he went down last year in San Francisco. So him filling in, I mean, the dude averaged 7.3 yards on the ground for $116 and a couple touchdowns. So obviously a good win for Minnesota. Cincinnati, it's a really bad look. And I know the defense they were put in some tough spots, but it's not encouraging when you get diced up the way that they did on the ground.
Yeah, I didn't see much of this one other than those big plays by that defensive player you mentioned. But I have to go back and watch this again because how long is McCarthy out for? Was this just a 1 week thing or?
I'm not sure. I think Wentz is starting this week.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to go back and see, exactly how he did, because that's going to affect how I bet the Vikings this week. But yeah, that was a dud. That was one that ruined the parlay. You know, it happens every week, right? You put in a every week, right? You put in a 4 or 5 leg parlay. There's always one leg that ruins it. This was one. This was one of them. Um, just a bad, just a bad read. You know, I
And and they couldn't even tease us just a little bit. Just make it a game a little bit. Like they were
mhm,
dead in the water.
right,
Second quarter of that game, the game was over.
right. They just it looked like Cincinnati didn't even want to be there. They just had no juice. So yeah, just a big old dud.
Another game that it was just sickening. Steelers get a win in New England, 21-14. I mean, can you hand the game to a team more than the New England Patriots handed it to Pittsburgh? It's like Spillane gets that pick to set him up inside the 10, and like Drake May throws a pick. Ramondre Stevenson fumbles twice. 2 times in that game, they turned it over inside the 5. One was a fumble, and then obviously the Drake May interception where it was just an awful decision. Like he could have just floated the ball in the back corner of the end zone, but he tries to throw a bullet pass and it lands right in the corner's lap. So I mean, 5 turnovers, and the thing is, like, Pittsburgh didn't look spectacular either. Like if you force 5 turnovers in a game, you should beat a team by 20 points at least. And it's like New England was still in this regardless the entire time, and they were just playing awful, sloppy football. I think Gibson fumbled as well in this game. Like looking at Rodgers' stats, he went 16 of 23 for 139, 2 touchdowns. They didn't even have Warren didn't even have 50 yards on the ground. I mean, DK Metcalf got held 3 catches for 32 yards. Drake May, I mean, outside of that one mistake that he made, I thought he had a pretty good game. But there's just something missing on that New England offense right now. And obviously, like I said, the turnovers, you'll never win with that. The run game has to be better. It has to be better. And like Drake May was their leading rusher on the day with 7 carries for 45 yards. It's like Gibson had 28, Henderson had 28, Stevenson had 18 with the 2 fumbles. Stephon Diggs, 3 catches for 23 yards. So, I mean, we felt pretty good about New England's offense after that game in Miami last week, but there's just something off with that. I don't know if it's just going to take some time with McDaniel's system maybe, but I don't think the Steelers are as good as their record is at 2-1. I think they got some issues as well.
Yeah, I think that New England's got to find a way to get Henderson going. I think he is probably the best athlete. It's really him and Diggs, right? Like I think Hunter Henry is going to be your reliable, consistent tight end who's going to get you, 4 to 6 and 50 at least, right? Every game, good red zone target. But don't mind the dogs. I'm sorry. But they got to get Diggs going, right? Him too. So find a way to get that run game going with Henderson, because so far, and I don't want to. Yeah, he's a rookie, so it takes time for rookies usually. But yeah, that offensive line, I know they added a little bit to it. They spent a high pick on a lineman, so they got to get it going. For the Steelers, it just feels like they always win these games, doesn't it? Like these ugly games that they should lose, and you look at the statistics and you look back and you're like, how the fuck did they win this? These are the games they win. It feels like every time.
Colts Titans. Tennessee moves on to 3-0. Tennessee moves to 0-3. Already talked about just the mess, the debacle that happened at the end of the first half. Don't need to talk about that anymore. Just some key things from this game. Jonathan Taylor ran it down their throat. I mean, he averaged 6 yards per carry with 3 touchdowns on the ground. Daniel Jones, once again, very efficient out there, just doing what he had to do. There was one run he had in this game where he escaped pressure and just ran it right up the gap, and it was a great play by him. Kenny Moore had a pick six real early in that game, and that really kind of set the tempo for how that game was going to go. Tennessee's got to get the run game going, man. I mean, Tony Pollard averaged 2.8 yards a carry. I know he had a touchdown, but they can't get the run game going right now. And then the receiving core, this is insane. Calvin Ridley, 1 catch for 27 yards, and you're paying him all this money. You brought him in last offseason. He's supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be, that number one threat on this Titans offense, and it's these other young guys that Cam Ward has, been putting his trust in and that are getting open down the field. And Ridley hasn't done anything. He just doesn't even exist on this team right now. So I don't have a ton of takes on this game. I mean, Indianapolis, they're 3-0. You did 2 of those games are against Miami and Tennessee, and then a game that you could have easily lost to Denver, and we don't really know how good Denver is. So I don't want to take anything away from Indianapolis, but at the same time, I feel like this game, week 4, going against the Rams, especially the Rams coming off a tough loss, that's really going to kind of be like the barometer of what the Colts are, is putting them in that setting. And I mean, the over-under for that game, that Rams-Colts game, is 50, which is interesting to me. But any takes on this game?
No, not really, other than, Danny Dimes keeps it going and the Titans keep struggling. I don't know. The Titans offensive coordinator is Nick Holtz. Never heard of him. Don't know who it is. They hired him last year with Callahan. He's not calling the plays. Callahan's not calling the plays. They got a guy, the quarterback's coach, Bo Hardgree. I don't know who that is either, but he's calling the plays. Maybe that's part of the problem. Just a guess. I don't know. Maybe get somebody in there who knows how to call plays.
They need something, dude. Let's go on to the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars. This game was a slop fest. I told you going into this that I really liked the under because the Jaguars defense, I think, is better than expected. And then the Texans offense has been a mess. Texas defenses look good. And that's exactly what it ended up being. This was just a slop fest in Duval. Houston's offense has got some real issues. When you look at 2 years ago, C.J. Stroud's rookie season, he was just on top of the world. He was doing unthinkable things that you've never seen before from a rookie quarterback. And you go back and you look at that play and what is transpiring now, it doesn't look good. He finished with a QBR of 49.7. That one touchdown that he did throw late in the game to Nico, I mean, it was just a busted coverage. Nico was all by himself. You could have made that throw. He finished the day 25 for 38, 204.
Thank you.
With that touchdown, but he threw 2 picks. Houston can't get anything going on the ground. Nick Chubb finished with 38 yards, and I think there's about to be a transition in Houston to the rookie Woody Marks because they just need something. They got to switch something up in Houston, and I think maybe getting this guy more involved in the offense, he could be explosive for him. Because right now, man, all it is Nico Collins. He finished the day with over 100 yards receiving in that touchdown on 11 targets, but nothing is crisp. Nothing is crisp in this Houston offense. Stroud doesn't appear to be seeing the field very well. Like I said, the defense kept him in it. Lawrence didn't look great either on the other side. He finished with a QBR of 29.5. So, finished the game. You got the win. Congratulations. But Jacksonville looks like a mess right now on offense, or at least Trevor Lawrence does. Just the inconsistency is real. He's throwing hospital balls. He's making wrong reads. He's not being accurate. When he is accurate, some of the receivers are dropping balls. So, like I said, this game was just a mess. Brian Thomas got shut down the entire game until probably the biggest play of the game late, where he caught a ball and got yards after the catch to set him up. But he was pretty absent all day long. They're not getting Travis Hunter going on offense. I know that they probably need him more on the defensive side of the ball just because they got a good amount of depth at that receiver position. So that's understandable to me. But what's not understandable is you not getting Brian Thomas involved the way they should be. Whether that's on him, whether it's on the quarterback, whether that's on the coach, I don't know, but they need to figure it out. Brent Strange has looked really good at tight end for them, and it did concern me a little bit when they lost Ingram in free agency because Ingram was a good player, although he had been banged up. But credit to Strange, he's stepped into that tight end one role and really looked good. The rookie Tootin finished with a touchdown. ETN had a touchdown on the ground as well, so they got a nice little two-headed monster now. That Tank Bigsby's out the door, and that Jacksonville defense, they continue to generate pressure. I know we don't. Like, Houston's offense is a mess. Their offensive line is not protecting the way that they should be. But you got to give credit to Jacksonville's defense. This is another game where I give it to them rather than I give it to the offense.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know, if you're Houston and you have trouble protecting the quarterback, maybe trading Laremy Tunsil wasn't the best idea. I'm no GM, though, so I don't know. But, this was another ugly game, right? But I think it was set up that way. The spread was only 1.5. We knew, the Texans didn't want to go 0-3. But they did. So they were going to play hard. Yeah. Jacksonville, they got to get those receivers going. Right now, if you're Jacksonville, and I told you after the first 3 weeks of the year, De'Ami Brown and Parker Washington were going to be your 1 and 2 best receivers. Statistically and just visually when watching the game. Not to take away from either of those guys, I think Parker Washington looks all the bits of a stud. He looks fucking good. Just watch the way that he goes up in high points, and I think I didn't get to see him do much after the catch, but he looks good. But they get why are we not seeing designed plays for the guy you traded up to get at 2 overall?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Cohen was hired for his offensive mind, the offensive genius. Where is it? I don't think that a couple years ago, right? I think that now, after last season and so far this season, you would say Baker is on a different level than Trevor Lawrence. But I think 2 years ago, not many people would have said that. You probably would have put them in the same tier, right on the same level, and been like, I bet some people would have taken Lawrence over him. Maybe some people in Jacksonville still will. I don't know. But right now, something's got to change for them. Lawrence has got to step up and play better. Their number 1 and number 2 receivers got to step up and play better. They got to be more creative on offense. I like the way the run game is going, and that's great. I think Cohen did that last year in Tampa, so that's not a surprise really. But what is a surprise is how inefficient they've been through the air, and that's something that I think they will clean it up, right? It's still early, new system. Everyone's getting adjusted. I think it will get better as the year goes on. But, right now it doesn't look too promising. But speaking of not too promising, the Texans, not good. Not good. And I think I don't know, maybe I was going to make a joke about getting a new quarterback in there, but Stroud's all right. He's okay.
So, Doug Peterson, say what you say about the guy, he gets fired for the mess that Jacksonville had turned into, but at least the guy was finding a way to get Brian Thomas the ball. And even when Mac Jones was out there, they were setting up plays and designs to put the ball in Brian Thomas's hands, and we're not seeing it now. And to your point, like Travis Hunter, there was one play where they set him up in space, and he makes the defender miss, and he gets upfield, and they converted a long play. I think it was like a 2nd and 15 or something, and it's like there it is. Like that's what this kid can do with the football. If you have the tools, to help your quarterback out, because I don't think too highly of Lawrence, but I think with Cohen having the confidence that I have in him, and with the weapons and that defense, like the guy's in a pretty good, like this is the best environment that he's ever been in. So it's just you'd like to see some more efficiency from their offense. And then touching on the Texans, right now, dude, they're sitting at 0-3. They're playing the Titans at home this week. They're 7-point favorites. You expect Tennessee, or you expect Houston to get their first win this week. I mean, 2 0-3 teams. They're the ones favored. You expect them to get it. But after that, they're at Baltimore. They're at Seattle. Home against the 49ers. Home against the Broncos. And then home against the Jags again. So you have this 4-game stretch, even after, say you get this win against Tennessee to go to 1-3. There's a 4-game stretch there where it's brutal. So, I mean, they're running out of time now. I know it's early in the season, but falling to 0-3 and setting yourself up with this, it's not looking very promising for them. And then on top of that, the Colts are 3-0, so you already have a 3-game deficit in your own division, and you're already thinking, wild card, best case scenario at this point.
Yeah, I would like to see what those division odds are, because if the Colts are even a shadow of the Saints of last year, and the Texans find a way to turn it around, are we confident that the Jags are going to hang on and take it? So I don't know. I'd like to see those odds, maybe sprinkle a little something on Texans. But hey, next week though, +7 Tennessee against this struggling team. Give me that all day. I'm even going to throw them in a little underdog moneyline parlay. Calling it now. I'm telling you what I'm doing.
It stuck out to me. The Houston Texans shouldn't be 7-point favorites against anybody. I don't care who it is.
Right.
This
In what world?
offense has no right being 7-point favorites.
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons go on the road and absolutely get bent over in Carolina. They were 5.5-point favorites. The line came down to 4.5 going into Sunday. They were a team we talked about where it's like, yeah, just throw Atlanta. Throw Atlanta in, you want to do a 4 or 5 leg money line parlay where you just want to take the team to win, the favorite. Throw them in there. You'll be all right. And they go out and just get destroyed by Carolina. And I was talking to Todd about this, and it's funny to see all of these platforms out there, these podcasts and whatnot, talking about doing their whole redraft of last year's quarterbacks, and they all want to put Caleb last, and they're throwing Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy ahead of him as if they would have been drafted ahead of him.
Uneducated.
Are we sure about Michael Penix at this point? Because this Carolina defense is not good. They have not been good the last couple of years. They just lack the talent. I mean, and you got shut out. You don't just play bad, but you get shut out. And you finish the day with a QBR of 12.5, Tyler. Threw the ball
Terrible.
36 times, completed 18 passes for $172 and 2 picks. It got so bad that late in the game, Raheem Morris just said, Cousins, go out there and play it, because it's a debacle. Bijan averaged 5.5 yards per carry. And they ended up having to air the ball out 36 times still. So, I mean, the run game looks good, but I don't know about Penix at this point, man. That was a major struggle against an opponent that you should have taken advantage to. Like, this is a game for Atlanta going in at 1-1. This is a game. This is like money in the bank to you, to like get to 2-1. Your quarterback feels comfortable. You're gaining rhythm. You're gaining confidence. It's one of those games and it was the complete opposite. It was just a complete meltdown, and it's like Bryce Young didn't have to do anything. Hubbard looked good on the ground. I like the rookie receiver McMillan.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him get even more involved, honestly, because he's really shown some promise. But there's really not much to say about this game other than it was just an utter ass whooping.
Yeah, Carolina had 9 different receivers catch a ball, and no receiver caught more than 3. McMillan was a leading receiver, 3 catches for 48 yards. No other receiver had more than 2 catches or more than 16 yards. Like, that's just crazy. That's a crazy stat line to me. But I mean, when you look at it from the Falcons' side, is like, yeah, you mentioned it. Bijan, 5.5 yards a carry. He only carried it 13 times. Why is Bijan only touching the ball 13 times? Like, yeah, he had 5 catches on top of that. So if you want to say, okay, he had 18 touches, but he should be getting 25 to 30 touches a game on this team at a minimum. It wasn't like Carolina was up 27-0 in the first half. They were up 10-0 at halftime. So you're going to tell me Bijan probably had less than 10 carries going into the second half. In a game like this, when your quarterback is struggling, unacceptable. Get him going. I mean, what are we doing? So, I've said it before regarding Penix. I think I said it earlier this year. Like, I'm not sold on him. I wasn't going into this year. Last year, when he was put in for Cousins when he was struggling, he didn't look all that great, right? But he's a rookie. It's understandable. But for all those other people out there who are putting Caleb last, the only guy that I can be like, okay, fair to put ahead of Caleb is Jaden from last year's class. But even then, like, Matt asks me all the time. Matt's my cousin, by the way. He's an idiot, but he asks me all the time. No, I'm not putting Bo Nix ahead of Caleb Williams. Bo Nix is, I mean, great. Yes, Bo Nix is very good. I still, at this point, I'm not sitting here being like, yep, Jaden Daniels ahead of Caleb Williams. Did Jaden Daniels have an outstanding year last year? Of course. Yes, there's no denying that. Did Caleb Williams have a bad year last year? No. This is what happens every fucking time we have someone who gets so much hype coming out of college and they're the number 1 pick. The expectations are through the fucking roof. And then when they don't meet up here and they're just here and they have a good year, that good year is now a bad year just due to expectations. If Caleb Williams was taken where Bo Nix was taken, everyone would be like, wow, dude, he's really good. This is a really good quarterback.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? It's all expectations. And I still would not take, right now, if we did it over again, I'm not taking Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. I'm still taking Caleb number 1. And Matt asked me in the fantasy draft. So for those of you out there who don't know, Pat in our fantasy league got Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen in a 2-quarterback format. And I took Caleb Williams, had maybe a rookie move, but either way, dynasty league,
important
right?
to note that it's a dynasty, yeah.
Yes, that is important to note. So I took Caleb, and Matt asked me if I had to do it over again, would I not take Caleb there? And I said, you know what? Yes, only because I know what everybody else thinks of him, and everybody else would still let him fall, and I know I could still have gotten him maybe a round or 2 later. But am I disappointed that I have Caleb Williams? Not one bit. I think I'm still very high on him, and I don't get why people are giving up on him already. I just don't understand it.
No, it's way too early, and he's got an actual competent coach now. And we're going to get into Chicago. And we're also going to get into Bo Nix as well because things don't seem to be clicking out there in Denver right now. So, New York Jets, Tampa Bay Bucks. This game was 23-6 going into the fourth quarter. Tampa was 6.5-point favorites. Once again, if you had that, you're thinking, oh, we're good. We're Gucci. Money in the bank. Fourth quarter happens, just a whirlwind of things. You get a blocked field goal in there as well. I thought Tyrod Taylor actually looked decent. a lot better than I expected on the day. He did throw a really bad interception that cost them. They didn't get Breece Hall going on the ground at all. That Tampa Bay run defense did their job. I mean, Tyrod ended up the day being the leading rusher, and it's going to be hard to win doing that. And then from Tampa's standpoint, Ibuka looks like an absolute weapon. Mike Evans did go down in this game, so we're going to have to continue to monitor his status going forward. But it's like, even if he goes down, they between Bucky Irving and that run game, which the Jets did do a good job of stopping, I have to mention, and the way Baker's playing and the way him and Ibuka are connecting right now, this Bucs team, they're 3-0. I mean, they did what they had to do, and they pulled out the win. It was a little scary. You go down. The Jets get that blocked field goal, and they return it for a touchdown. McDonald and Aaron Glenn's on the sideline going crazy. And you're thinking, holy shit. This, dude, combined with everything else that was happening in that 1 o'clock window, it was just simultaneous momentum swing after momentum swing going on in that window.
Can you throw that little jig Aaron Glenn was doing on the sideline, dude? Can you throw that up during this conversation for the video? Because that shit was hilarious. I was CJ Matt. I was like, dude, you guys have to watch this on the replay. That shit had me dying.
But I mean, credit to Baker. He gets the ball back after that, marches him down the field goal, and they kick the game-winning field goal, and they escape, but they don't cover. So just another game that was, if you had the Bucs minus 6.5, nauseating. I'm not sure what Justin Fields' status is going forward. Hopefully he'll be able to go this week. We'll have to continue to monitor that. And then, like I said, Mike Evans as well. But, I mean, the Bucs did what they had to do, and they move on to 3-0. And, I mean, is there a division with a clearer picture of who's going to come out of it than the NFC South right now after seeing that loss that Atlanta took, and then obviously the Saints, and who knows with Carolina, but do we see Carolina overtaking Tampa? I don't think so. They have a lot of injuries, Tampa does right now, but they have the benefit of the doubt being in that division where there's some flexibility there.
I couldn't believe that Tampa kind of blew this game in a way, like let the Jets get back in it. They were up 23-6 with like 9 minutes in the third quarter. And, we're looking at it, and I actually backed Pat. I thought it was a great play. There were two games that he teased the spread, but in the opposite direction that you're thinking. So Tampa was minus 6.5. Pat moved it to minus 9.5, and he did the same thing with the Seahawks. And there was another one we won't talk about, but I thought that those two were great, and I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm with it. And you felt comfortable about this the whole time. 23-6, and then even when the Jets score a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and then the Buccaneers get a field goal, they're up 13, and you're still comfortable with it. But then again, they gave up the touchdown, and then the blocked field goal for a touchdown, and you're like, how the fuck did the Jets even get here? How did this happen? So just kind of one of those crazy games, again, to go along with the rest of the 1 o'clock slate. Just one of those roller coaster games that you just weren't expecting. But for the Buccaneers to stay poised enough, and Baker to it just shows you the dog that's in him to just go down and get them in field goal range to seal the game. So a huge win for Tampa after that blocked field goal for a touchdown. That's a really big win.
Another game, this one was just a bad read. Raiders were +3 going into Washington. Jaden Daniels was out. Mariota was in. I feel like this game in that 1 o'clock window kind of slipped under the radar, where you lost track of what was going on just because of the action that was happening in the other games. Like, it was action packed in that 1 o'clock window, and that's the tough thing when at this point in the season before you get bye weeks is it's really hard to key in on all of those 1 o'clock games, and that this game was that one for me where I was continuing to monitor, and I was like, all right, come on, Raiders, come on, you can do it. And then it just never happened. I mean, Geno's stat line is pretty good. I mean, he finished 19-29 for 289 and 3 touchdowns. Genty finished the game with 63 yards on the ground, averaging 3.7 yards a carry. Trey Tucker, what a fucking game for him. He finished the day with 8 catches for 145 and 3 touchdowns. So he's really stepped up. Talked about Jacoby Myers last week, how he looked good the first couple weeks, but we'd like to see more from Bowers and then somebody else in that receiving room step up for the Raiders. And Trey Tucker, I mean, he's one of those guys that if he's on the waiver wire this week in fantasy leagues, people should be all over him because he finished the day, he led the team with 9 targets, and him and Geno look like they got something going there. One of the touchdown catches he had was great. Mariota did what he had to do. He was efficient. He ran the ball well. He ran for 40 yards, 6.7 average. McNichols had a touchdown run in this game. He busted out a few of them. Krosky Merritt, the rookie, I drafted him in one of my leagues, and I've been a little disappointed just with his usage, especially after Eckler went down. I really expected him to be a bigger influence in this offense, but it just looks like it's going to be a committee approach with McNichols, Rodriguez, and him as well. So it's going to be hard to really count on any of those guys going forward for fantasy purposes. McLaurin had a big reception in this game where it looked like it was a touchdown. They called it back, and then they just scored on the next play. But like I said, this game kind of slipped under the radar for me on Sunday just because of the combination of all the other games that were going on. Do you have any takes on this one?
Yeah, I really don't even feel like it was that bad of a read. I think the Raiders were getting 3 points. Daniels is out. Mariota is a very serviceable backup, of course, so it's not like it's not a Jake Browning or anything like that. But I don't, again, this isn't the Vegas of last year. Pete Carroll, they got Genty, they got Geno. They're a formidable team. And it was looking like it was the right read when it was 10-10 after the Raiders scored a touchdown in the second quarter with, what was it, a little over 4 minutes left. That very next drive, so it's 10-10, 4 minutes left. Washington has the ball in the second quarter. And then that was the drive McNichols busted that 60-yard run for a touchdown. And then right from there, I think Washington had like 24 unanswered points. Yeah, they end up going up 34-10 at some point in the third quarter. So after it being 10-10 with 4 minutes left, McNichols bust that run for 60 yards. They went on a 24-0 run, right? So again, I don't think it was really a bad read. I think if these two teams played again, we would have a different result. Now, if it's Jaden Daniels and they're a 3-point favorite against Vegas, I'm taking that all day. But with Mariota playing, that was just one of those games. And to your point with Krosky Merritt, like, I was thinking the same thing. Every time I see somebody bust a run, it's not him. It's McNichols or Rodriguez, and I'm like, where is this
Mariota?
Yeah, or Mariota running it. Everybody but Krosky. Did we have a nickname for him yet? Is there one out there?
Bill. His nickname's Bill.
I'll take it, man. That's fire. Bill. I expect more from Bill moving forward, but again, that's another one of those kind of dud games that we did not pick the right side.
Packers-Browns, I don't think we need to dive into too much because this was a clear under from the start, just with how great Cleveland's defense has looked. how great Green Bay's defense has looked, and then the Browns' offense just hasn't clicked with Flacco. I'm wondering when that week is going to be where they make a change and maybe say, hey, we're going to give Gabriel or Shador. I don't think it's going to be Shador right now. He's just getting scout team reps right now. But at some point, because of how great that defense is, and can I mention that we're going to talk about the Giants a little bit, but Jackson Dart's being named the starter this week in week 4. What was the point of signing Jameis Winston after you signed Russell Wilson if this was going to be your outlook? If your outlook was going to be we're going to play Russ, if Russ struggles, all right, time to bring in the rookie. What was the point of paying Jameis Winston in the offseason and bringing him in? I'm genuinely confused by the Giants' thought process in that. Because if you're not going to give him an opportunity, there are plenty of teams around the league, including this one in Cleveland, that he's been a part of. He's been in that system, and he's played well. Like, what are we doing, Giants? We're just going to hold Jameis Winston hostage at this point. But getting into the game, I mean, that Cleveland defense was unbelievable. They held Jacobs to under 2 yards a carry. The Packers' receiving corps just looks like a mess right now. I know LaFleur's a mastermind from the offensive side of the ball who really knows how to scheme his guys open, but nobody was getting open. Like, this Browns defense is for real. And even as well as they played, you thought this game was in the bag until Jordan Love throws that pick and sets their offense up with, I think they had to run like 3 yards for Judkins to get a touchdown. Judkins, I do want to talk about him because he looks really good. He finished the day 18 carries for 94 yards. I mean, averaging over 5 yards a carry, and he busted out a 38-yard run in this game. Very explosive. And I know people really love Travion Henderson, coming into this year with New England. But are we not sure that the Browns got the better Ohio State running back? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into it, situations, usage, all of those things, but just from a pure explosiveness standpoint right now, I mean, and they both could end up being great pros. I think they will be, honestly. I like Henderson a lot, but Judkins ran the ball really well. And Cleveland, I mean, I was really expecting the kicker to blow it in the end to win the game, and I thought this game was going to overtime, but credit to him, he nails it. Browns get their first win, and I don't think that this is a game to really overreact from the Packers side of things. I think it's a wake-up call for fans and bettors around the league where it's like, yeah, Green Bay was on top of the world after 2 weeks, but like, let's not crown them as the best team in the NFL and like this team's going to go undefeated or anything, because there's some serious hiccups on that offense. Obviously, the mistakes that Jordan Love made were crucial, and their run game just got shut down. They got stuck right in the mouth there.
Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of this game, but to your point, I mean, Cleveland did take Judkins higher. That he was the first back out of the two in the draft to go, so they believed that he was the better back out of him and Henderson at least. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of those games that the Packers needed to win. When you go through schedules and you go, yep, W, yep, W. Those are the ones you need to win. Those are the big ones. When you are a great team, you win those games you need to win. You don't play down to your competition. I know that it's the NFL. Any given week, shit can happen. It's true. It does happen. But it's just a very, very, very disappointing loss if you're Green Bay. And, yeah. But for them, looking forward to next week. I'm sure no one's too pessimistic going into Dallas.
Speaking of disappointing losses, Denver Broncos fall to 1-2. We talked about this game a little bit with the dime of the week, just the amazing throw that Herbert makes to tie it up, and then defense makes a stop. He drives them down the field. They kick the game-winning field goal. I'm going to take at it from this side of things, though. Bo Nix mentioned it. We got to talk about it. He finished the day with a QBR of 38.6. Only completed 14 passes. 153 yards passing. Dobbins averaged 7.5 yards per carry. It looks like he's really taken over. There were some questions going into the season. You know, is it going to be the rookie Harvey? He only finished the day with 2 carries on the ground. And Dobbins finished with 11 carries. And if you're averaging 7.5 yards a carry, you'd think the guy deserves more than, I don't know, maybe 11 carries, Sean Payton. Then you put in the ball in Bo Nix's hands more than, and kind of relying on your run game a little bit, because Nix has been missing some throws these first few games where it's like guys are running open down on the sideline and he's just overthrowing them when they should be automatic. They should be automatic throws. You know, they're not even ones where you have to hit the guy in stride necessarily. You just got to put it on him, and he missed a few in this game that really cost him. And you're up 20-13 late in that game, and you end up losing in regulation. It's a real tough loss. Then you fall to 1-2, and now the Chargers in your division have that game on you, not to mention they're undefeated. So Courtland Sutton, he finished with over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. He continues to look good, but there's something missing in this offense for Denver and Bo Nix right now. And then from the Chargers side of things, I mean, this is a team going into the season. You didn't think they had a ton of weapons. Well, Quentin Johnston is really turned into a player. Like, everybody gave up on this guy, but it's not fluke. You know, this is week after week after week now where he's really putting up numbers and producing in this offense. And then Keenan Allen, he goes practically an entire offseason where nobody signs him off the street. Nobody wants him. And then the Chargers get him back late, and he just continues to make big play after big play, and he's on the receiving end of that dime of the week. So, and then like McConkey, we thought going into the season like he was going to be their number one, and he finished the day with only 4 catches, and you got all these guys ahead of him like Rondo Gadsden, shout out Syracuse, tight end. He finished with 4 receptions. Hampton had 6 catches. Allen had 7. Johnston had 6. And Hampton on the ground, I mean, Harris goes down. He's going to be out for the season now. And it looked like at first, like Harris was taking over as RB1. Like, he looked like he was just running the ball a lot better than Hampton the first couple games. But Hampton really got going in this game. He finished with 70 yards on the ground. He gets a tutty. And they're going to have to rely on him. Like, it's his workload now. It's no longer that committee with Najee Harris. They're going to have to rely on him heavily. But the Chargers, between the pass game, the run game, like this isn't just a one-dimensional offense, just 1 or 2 weapons. Like, they got guys all around, and Herbert continues to spread the ball around. He's playing at an MVP level. So credit to them. They're 3-0.
Yeah, and I mean, I really wanted to touch on one of the things that stood out to me as the Denver receiving core. Just no other than R.J. Harvey and Courtland Sutton, no other receiver had more than 2 catches. And that's Troy Franklin. 2 catches for 8 yards, right? Now, whether you want to look at that and be like, oh, okay, somebody from the core needs to step up, or maybe it's Bo Nix. Either way, that's like the big takeaway from that. Courtland Sutton has 118 yards, and then the rest of the entire receiving core, including the running backs, have 35 yards. Can't happen if you want to win ball games. It just can't. So, but great win for LA. It was a great matchup. This was one of the games of the week to me, and at least in the 4:00 slate, like this was the game. I think the next time these two teams play, we're going to get something very similar to this. It's a great head coaching matchup too. I love Harbaugh versus Sean Payton. I think that's a great head coaching matchup too. So I look forward to the next time these two teams play because I guarantee it's going to have playoff implications. I don't know what week it is, but if it's in that second half or that last quarter, last 4 or 5 games of the schedule, it's going to have major playoff implications. So looking forward to that.
A game we really don't need to discuss, Saints Seahawks. This game was 38-6 at halftime. Seattle gets a punt return early in that game to go up 2 possessions, and it was all downhill from there. Their defense, I've talked them up week after week. I really like Seattle's defense. Offensively, Horton, rookie, he gets the punt return, and then he also catches a touchdown. He's really emerging as a threat in this offense, which is big for them because we didn't really know about Cooper Kupp, health-wise, age-wise. You don't really know at this point what you're going to get from him. We know Smith and Jigma's a stud. Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet on the ground. They can pound the rock. They've upgraded the offensive line. But this emergence of Horton in the receiving game is going to be really big for this team going forward. And like I said, I love their defense. From the Saints side of things, what is there really to say at this point? I don't think we have to spend too much time on this game.
No, my only comment is who and when from that Saints team is being traded. It's all going to be on the defensive side of the ball. Olave is not going anywhere. He's getting 15 targets a game and 60 yards. That'll continue to happen until they get a competent quarterback in there. I don't think we're going to see the rookie that they drafted. Is it
Tyler Shuck?
Shuck? Yeah. I don't know when we're going to see him. I imagine at some point that Kellen Moore might give him a shot, but yeah. And is this the year? Is this the year we finally see Kamara traded?
They should, man. I
Right?
feel bad.
Exactly.
Free
Who
Kamara.
needs free Kamara? Who needs a running back out there? A lot of
We
teams
should make
need a running
T-shirts. Free Kamara.
back. Free Tory. Unrelated, but still a fact. Free Tory. But yeah, that's really it. That's the most interesting thing about the Saints team to me is who from that defense is going to go. Demario Davis. That's another guy. Him and Kamara are really the two that I respect that they're still there, but out of respect, I think the organization needs to give them a chance to win because when you look at this team and how it's structured, they're not going to be winning in the next 2 to 3 years. It's just not. It's not in the recipe. So give those guys a chance to go get a chip somewhere and finish their career strong. And that's really my only take on this.
Yeah, so Seattle moves on to 2-1 in a feisty NFC West. It's going to be a battle, and let's get into that. Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers. This was a defensive struggle all afternoon. I don't have too many takes on this game as well, just because, like I said, this is one of those games. It was pretty tough to watch. Ricky Pearsall is really coming on for San Francisco, which is good in the absence of Ayuk because they need that, and then also in the absence of Kittle, they need some production in the receiving end, and then they get they're 2-0 with Mac Jones in there filling in for Purdy, and I think Purdy is going to be back this week, so that's a great thing for San Francisco where you can rest your quarterback, let him get healthy, and you're sitting at 3-0 right now. Arizona's side of things, that's where we got to have some discussions. James Conner goes down. He's out for the season. Massive blow to them. I do like Trey Benson a lot, but I don't think he's James Conner. Maybe James Conner is on the downturn of his career at this point, but still very productive. Two guys are we really sure about at this point? Are we sure about Kyler Murray being a franchise quarterback in this league? And then are we sure that Marvin Harrison isn't one of the biggest busts in NFL history right now? Because this dude just looks lost out there on the field. And, being an Ohio State fan and seeing this guy in college year after year, he was, one of the most guaranteed hits going into the NFL draft, top 5 pick, and you just thought you were going to see it right away. But we're not. Kyler did make a really good throw in this game where he evaded pressure and he threw it across his body and found Harrison all by himself, and the dude just drops it. It's right in his breadbasket, and it would have been a massive gain. And he just lets it slip out of his hands to the ground. And at this point, it's hard for me to remember anything these first couple of years from Marvin Harrison, other than the game where they lit up the Rams last season. I think it was week 2 in Arizona, and the Cardinals just pounded the Rams, and Marvin Harrison had a really great game, and you saw it then. But it's like, since that game, he's been very, very quiet. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it's a relationship, chemistry thing between him and Kyler. I'm not sure, but I mean, not promising. Not promising from the Arizona side of things. I do like their defense, and I like their coach a lot, Gannon. Implementing that system in the defense, they got a lot of young guys. They went draft heavy on the defensive side of the ball. I think that defense is only going to get better and better, led by Collins and Baker. But they're just not getting enough from Kyler Murray right now. The inconsistency it's tough. It's tough to have a franchise quarterback that is just so inconsistent. And then, obviously, like I said, Connor going down, and then big question marks with Marvin Harrison at this point.
Yeah, massive blow. James Conner going down for what we assume to be the year. So massive blow there. Again, Kyler Murray, we're not surprised when we see this though, right? Because this is the same old shit that we've been getting from Kyler year after year, where we expect him to, I think, have increased consistency, and then he has a game like this in a not a must win, but a game that you're like, yeah, the Cardinals should win this game, and then he comes out and goes 22 of 35 for $160, 1 touchdown. Doesn't look good, right? I should say doesn't look great, but that throw, maybe hindsight's 2020, right? Maybe if Marvin Harrison catches that ball, Cardinals win the game. Maybe we're not talking about Kyler Murray's inconsistencies, but we are. So not surprised there one bit. To touch on Marvin Harrison, yeah, I mean, we would have expected to see a lot more from him, at least by now. So it has been a big disappointment to start his career through his first 20 games. But to touch on a guy we just talked about, Quentin Johnston, right? True. He was a first-round pick a couple years ago, and a lot of people gave up on him, like you mentioned. And now he's starting to come into his own. So I think Marvin Harrison is going to be okay. He's got everything that you're looking for in a stud wide receiver, a number one that can, get you 8 to 10 catches and 80 to 100 a game. Like, he's got that in him. It needs to happen, and they just got to find a way. They got to find a way to get him going. I don't think the drops are going to be an issue for him. Sometimes there's just something that happens, and then moving forward, everything just goes uphill, and maybe it's that drop for him. But we'll see.
Also have to mention Nick Bosa tore his ACL. He's out for the year. So speaking of massive blows.
Massive blow.
That's giant for that 49ers defense.
And for the 49ers too, like, you can't be any happier where you are with Mac Jones taking over while Purdy's out. I don't think you could have envisioned this. Maybe not. But McCaffrey, leading the league in touches. And that always worries me because of his durability. And they're just fucking running him into the ground right now. He had 17 carries and 10 catches. It's a lot of touches for him. Like, that's what I want Atlanta to do with Bijan. Why are you not, if Carolina's going to do it with a guy who gets hurt every other year for the entire season, why are you not doing it with Bijan? I don't know. Either way, I digress. Big win for the 49ers. Bad loss for Arizona. Um, that's all I got.
All right. Already went through my nauseating experience Sunday with my Rams. Let's dive into your Cowboys. They lose on the road 31-14. Defense gets shredded absolutely once again. Last week it's Russell Wilson. This week it's Caleb Williams. CD goes down. Looks like he could be out for duration of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hand you the mic on this one.
Just bad. Just bad. I mean, is this not like a spitting image of what happened last year in the first 3 weeks of the season, right? After that Saints game when Derek Carr threw for like 350 and 4 touchdowns, and we got blown out by the Saints. It very much has that feel to it. It was just a weird game too. Like Dak is not. Let me start on the defensive side of the ball before I get to Dak and that. Defensively, they just look lost. They're getting beat deep consistently. Is it a scheme thing? You'd have to assume so at this point because a lot of the guys on Dallas's secondary have been here when Dan Quinn was here, and they were a top 5 defense 2 years in a row. Like Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Trayvon Diggs. Deron Bland has been out the last 2 games. Hopefully we get him back next week, but if not, most likely the week after that. This isn't just, Deron Bland's out, now their defense sucks. Even if Deron Bland was playing, they're still going to be, it's still going to be an issue, right, when he comes back if they don't get these things addressed. Stopping the run. Why did you trade Parsons, Jerry? To get Kenny Clark to stop the run? He ain't stopping it. Not all alone. They have no pass rush. That is the biggest thing. And I'll say it. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. They are not generating pressure. When you give Russell Wilson all day to throw in the pocket, he's going to make throws. When you give Caleb Williams all day in the pocket, he's going to dice you up. Any NFL quarterback, when they have 3 to 4 seconds to throw the ball without feeling pressure, they're going to dice you up. I don't care who it is. I don't. So they have to figure that out. Now, they signed Jadeveon Clowney. Is that going to help? Most likely not. But is it better than what they have currently? Yes. Jadeveon Clowney is not the pass rusher that he was the first 4 or 5 years of his career. At this point, he's more of a gap stopper. He defends the run better, or I should say more of like, he holds the edge. He's a better run stopper than he is a pass rusher at this point, but still, again, better than what we have currently. They signed Dante Fowler to a 1-year deal. After coming off a double-digit sack last year, he's been below average to start this season. Their second-round rookie out of Florida State, the end, Donovan, he looks like he just can't do much of anything right now. And every time you see him rush the passer, he can't bull rush. He just gets stood up. He tries a spin move, feet stuck in the mud. He doesn't go anywhere. He's really got a speed rush is his thing, and that's still not working for him. Nothing's going well. But the only thing we have to look forward to is we're going to get Deron Bland back soon. Overshown, we're not even going to get him back until the second half of the year. So they got to figure it out. I was really happy about the Eberflus hire. There's a lot of Dallas fans out there who are, chanting fire Eberflus. It's like, it's too early for that. Is it disappointing? 1,000%. But I think it's too early to be chanting fire Eberflus. He's a good defensive mind. You just gotta, be a little more patient, I think, on that side. But it's bad. I mean, week 1 it looked good. We were optimistic for their defense. Their team overall after that Eagles game, and then the last 2 weeks, you're like, okay, their defense is trash. Now, are we overreacting? I don't think so. Slightly, yes. 2 bad weeks in a row. Yeah, I mean, it's fair. Any criticism anybody wants to give, it's fair. But I think they right the ship eventually. How many weeks it will take? I don't fuck it. I mean, going against Denver or Green Bay next week, could Green Bay put up 40? Sure, they could, but I'd like to hope we keep them in the 20s. So offensively too, like just a weird game. Dak is not the kind of quarterback to check the ball down. When it's 3rd and 8, he attacks the sticks. This was a very just odd approach from him on 3rd and medium, right? Jake Ferguson had 13 catches for like 70 yards. It was just every time it was 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, he threw it 4 or 5 yards, check down Ferguson. And it wasn't like drop back, read 1, read 2, read 3, read 4, check down Fergie. It was drop back, first read's not there, go to Ferguson. Why? What are we doing? Ferguson is not the break a tackle, make a guy miss, and get you 10 yards after the catch. But it just a weird approach.
Javonte Williams looks good though. That's a plus.
He does. Javonte does look good. I don't know why Jaden Blue is a healthy scratch week after week. I'd like to see him get some carries at this point. I mean, Miles Sanders is okay, but I don't see the point in having him if Javonte looks good. Get rid of Miles. Get these young guys some carry. Phil Maffa, Jaden Blue. Get them some time. Get them some reps. Sorry, Miles. You're a former Eagle. Don't give a fuck. See you later. But CeeDee Lamb, huge blow. He stiff-armed the shit out of that linebacker. He decleated, and the guy lands on his ankle. Just like terrible luck. Terrible luck. That was tough. Right when I saw it, I was like, fuck. He's out. He's going to be out for weeks. I think a high ankle sprain. Cooper Beebe, their starting center, second-year guy, he had a high ankle sprain last week. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. Tyler Booker, their first-round pick this year, right guard, he has an ankle issue. He's going to be out. Same timeline. So they're just taking hits on the offensive side of the ball right now, which is probably best-case scenario with how bad their defense is. So we need to keep that side of the ball as healthy as we can. But George Pickens is going to have to step up. I know he had that one bad drop that led to the pick, and that's when everybody saw him, slam his helmet on the sideline, which was a matter of time before we saw something like that happen, right? But that's the time to do it, right? When it's your fault. I'll take that all day. You fuck up, and your error leads to a turnover. You want to slam your helmet on the sideline? I'm okay with that. Go ahead. You know what I mean? Get your anger out on something. But moving forward, a lot of question marks. Lot of things they got to figure out. On the flip side, and I'll make it very brief because I know I took up a lot of time there. But Caleb looked good. I know it's not like Caleb looked good. Here we go. It's more of like Caleb looked good, but so did Russell Wilson last week, who just lost his job after this week. So how good does Caleb look? Good enough. He made the throws. He made the plays. That's really it. Bad loss for Dallas there. Again, a lot of question marks moving forward. Green Bay coming into Dallas next week is, I don't know, fucking bet your bank account on Parsons getting a sack, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to. You nailed Dallas's side of things, obviously. Chicago, I'm just not going to overreact. I didn't overreact when people were down on Caleb. Obviously, there were some things to work out where he needed to see the field better. And I'm not going to overreact to this just because, like you said, like if he came out and did this, a couple weeks in a row, or if Dallas's defense didn't just allow this to happen last week to Russell Wilson, as you said, who just got benched. it's just I can't overreact. I will say that flea flicker play was like the slowest flea
Dude,
flicker of all time, like football
I
history. And that's like the pitch is just floating up to him.
yes,
That
I
was a
was just
dime.
thinking that.
He made a great throw. That's where you saw it. That's where you saw it. He was like, okay, that's why the guy was, they were saying generational talent, draft him number 1, all these things. Like, that was a great throw. Like, he
70-yard throw.
yeah. And one thing that Todd said to me is he hasn't been putting arc on his throws. He's just kind of been throwing bullets and not layering throws. He isn't layering in for his receivers, but that was one where that was a beautiful throw to Luther Burden over the top. And Burden, I like a lot. He's a weapon. DJ Moore, I'd like to see him get more involved. He finished the day with 4 catches for 21 yards, and you just haven't seen him get going. Like, yes, it's nice to see Adunze take a step up, and we've really seen him play great so far this season, and it's nice to see, Burden get involved. But at the same time, like, let's get something out of DJ Moore here. Let's get something out of Colson Loveland, who you used your first-round draft pick on.
Yep.
He finished the day with 1 catch. I just think it's gonna be a process for Chicago, but definitely a win that they had to get. And then Dallas, tough, dealing with those injuries going into a Sunday night game against Green Bay, who's coming off of obviously a really tough loss that we talked about in Cleveland, and Micah is going to be out for blood. So very tough game for them going into Sunday night. And Javonte Williams, that fumble, he ran the ball really well, but that fumble was costly.
Yep.
Sunday night football, another game we don't have to talk too much about. 22-9, Chiefs Giants. I loved the under in this game. Like, after the afternoon slate, I was like, I gotta do something to get, just make myself feel right. And going into that game, I was like, 6 points for the Chiefs, I think, is a little high the way they've been playing. I don't remember what the over-under was, but whatever it was, I was all over it. And it ended up being that. It was a really tough watch. I don't think the NFL is ever going to learn the lesson from putting the Giants on in prime time. I think they're just going to keep, year after year, they're just going to keep throwing them on these Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night games and just force them onto the American public. And unfortunately, it went as expected. Russell Wilson was just, it was catastrophic. What was his QBR? His QBR was 6.5 on the day. 18 of 32 for 160 yards, 2 picks. Scatabo, he looks good running the ball for them. He finished with a touchdown, and then I like Tracy too, who they drafted last year. I think those 2 running backs, they really got something there.
Well, he just got hurt,
Neighbors
right?
couldn't get the ball. 2 catches for 13 yards to Malik Neighbors is just, I'm sorry, unacceptable. And it's unacceptable from the quarterback, and it's unacceptable from the play caller, Dable. Like, this is your guy. This is your weapon. Like, I don't care how bad of a team you are. You have to find a way to put the ball in this dude's hands. Like, put him in the backfield if you need to. But regardless, like, he's frustrated, and I can understand why, because he's a serious weapon, and you got to put the ball in his hands, and he's just, it's not happening. But we'll see what happens with Jackson Dart. I touched on it earlier in the episode, where if you're going to sign Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, then why not go to Jameis Winston to bring your team a spark before forcing the rookie out there, and dealing with the New York media and the pressures that come with that for a young rookie quarterback. Like, what was the point of signing Jameis Winston if you were just going to go to the rookie once Russ started to struggle and once Dable started to feel the pressure? I don't understand that. We talked about free Kamara in New Orleans. Well, I think it's time to free Jameis in New York, because it's just unacceptable, I think, for him to be held hostage in that situation right now. I mean, the Chiefs side of things, I am not sold on anything that I saw from them. I'm not sold on anything I've seen from them the first 3 weeks. I think they got a long ways to go, and they're playing the Ravens this week. Think about this. We're about to talk about the Ravens. Chiefs and Ravens are both 1-2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
One of those teams is going to be 1-3 going into week 5, and that is just an absurd thing to think about. I will say it's nice to see Tyquan Thornton really emerge in this offense as a deep weapon. You haven't seen this deep threat, this consistent deep threat from Mahomes since Tyreek left. Like, we saw the occasional Marquez Valdez-Scantling game where, he'd have 1 or 2 deep balls. But it looks like Thornton is really coming on in this offense. And I know he was a throwaway from New England, just as Smith-Schuster was, and these guys were their leading receivers on the day. So I think it's just going to be a process for them until, once you throw Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice out there in that offense, I think things are gonna start to look a lot better. But even when that happens, they've got a real issue with this running game right now between Pacheco and Hunt. They just got to get, I don't know if it's an offensive line thing, maybe a scheme mishap. I'm not sure what's going on in the run game, but they're going to have to improve that if they want to really make some noise this season.
I just still don't understand why you're splitting carries with Hunt and Pacheco. And this is no disrespect to Kareem Hunt. But Pacheco's a fucking dog. The dude runs the ball hard. He's a solid back. Why are you splitting his carries evenly with Kareem Hunt? I just don't I don't get. Give Pacheco more opportunities to make plays. Hunt's going to get the ball probably near the goal line for some reason when they could just give that to Pacheco too, but whatever. That's where Hunt is very efficient, short yardage situations and receiving the ball out of the backfield, right? Use him in the same role that you used P. Ryan or McKinnon. Like, I get that. But that's my big thing whenever I watch the Chiefs, and it frustrates me all the time. It's like, why do you not trust Pacheco? I don't get it. The dude is a dog. Trust him. Just fucking trust him. Receiving, yes, they're going to get Rashee Rice back. He's going to hit the ground running. He's going to be the number one guy. Travis Kelce is still slowly declining, right? See you, dude. Happy trails. Go fucking in a ditch with Taylor. That's really all I got for the Chiefs. Nothing much. Kind of echoing what you said. I think you nailed it. They're just not impressed with anything that they're doing. When you have an all-worldly quarterback and an all-worldly coach, like, it shouldn't look like this. It shouldn't feel like this, right? But it does. And if I'm a betting man, which I'd like to think I am, I like the Ravens next week, not the Chiefs. I don't know. Part of me is like, the Chiefs might pull that one off. No part of me. But I'd like to see the spread on it. Actually, I probably should pull that up. But touching on the Giants just really quick. Tracy is out for probably 2 to 4 weeks. He did get banged up. But I don't think that really does much to their run game because they still have Singletary. Cam Scatterbo's got to be probably your lead back at this point. I mean, he looked real good. He looked really good against Dallas. Again, not really saying much, but just the way he runs the ball, runs hard. He's got more. I think he's got more juice than you think he would. Right? I think he's a little more shifty than you would give him credit for because he's a white boy. But I like what I've seen out of him, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield too. So he's a dog. They need to give him 15 to 20 touches a game at a minimum. Got to get neighbors involved. As you said, unacceptable. As a head coach, that's a failure. As an offensive mind, being in Dable, that's why they hired him. Failure to get your best offensive player by a landslide 2 catches. Now, if they're triple teaming him, okay, fine, you can live with that. But I don't think that's the case. You got to get him the ball. They got nobody else. They really don't. No offense to Rondale Robinson or the guy that they paid instead of paying Barkley, Darius Slayton. But you got to get Neighbors the ball. And maybe even Theo Johnson, too, that tight end, who I thought was a solid pickup for them when they took him, I think, out of Penn State. So they got a lot to figure out. I don't know at this point who's going to get fired first between Dable or your boy in Tennessee,
McDaniel,
Callahan.
maybe.
You know, like I don't know. It's just not looking good for Dable right now in New York. And Russell Wilson goes from looking like an MVP last week to having a really down week, and then all of a sudden you pull the plug like that. And I guess to your point, I'll touch on it. It with Jameis, I think the only way this makes marginal sense to start Jackson Dart next week instead of Jameis is if he is doing everything right in practice. Every rep that he gets in practice, he's just doing exactly what you want him to do. And if that's the case, I can understand that. But if he comes in and he struggles right off the bat, most likely what's going to happen? They'll probably give him 3 weeks and then pull the plug and probably go with Jameis instead of putting Russell back in there. Like, I don't know. That I think it could be a bad recipe. But I hope he does well. But
Well, that's the thing.
it's
If you're gonna put the rookie out there, I feel like that's a decision there's no going back from, because you can't bench him and then
mhm.
ruin his confidence. Like, you can't throw him out there if he struggles, bench him. That just torches his confidence, which is the reasoning where if you have the other guy in Jameis, you have a luxury of having a backup quarterback who's done it.
Mhm.
That's why you go to him, and then 3-4 weeks if things don't go as planned, then you go to the rookie when it looks like there's nothing else to do. But now you're going high risk, high reward route in week 4, and if things do go south, the kid's confidence just goes down. I don't think you can bench him at that point,
It,
or else it could get even worse.
right. I mean, we've seen situations, and I don't want to say mismanaged, but like what happened in Indianapolis last year. You bench Anthony Richardson to bring in Joe Flacco, and then eventually you go back to Richardson. I think that did something to his confidence. And there's another. I feel like there was one more instance last year, a very similar situation. I can't think of it right now, but it was another one where it was that same thing, right? You pull the starter, you get the other guy in there for a few weeks, and you put the other guy back in. And I feel like it worked out for him, but it's not a successful, you know, recipe, so to speak.
Let's cap this off. Monday Night Football, Detroit Lions, Baltimore Ravens. This was an absolute dandy. Lions pull it out in the end, 38-30. Dan Campbell, balls of steel once again. It's 4th and 1, late in the game, midfield. You get the first down, you put them away. They draw up a play-action play where St. Brown slips off the edge, and I believe it was Marlon Humphrey. He doesn't stay with him, and Jared Goff just drops it right in there. Absolute dime, perfect throw. Gets the first down, ices the game. Detroit wins. This game was incredible. It was really fun to watch. I loved watching this game. Obviously, a huge turning point was Derrick Henry fumbling, and now it's 3 straight weeks where Derrick Henry has fumbled the football. So it's becoming an issue. You saw him go off to the sideline. He threw his helmet, and he was just enraged with himself. Luckily for Baltimore, though, after that happened, defense stood up, and they held Detroit to 3 instead of getting a touchdown, which could have put it away then. And Baltimore had a chance, but that Detroit defense, man, when they had to step up, they stepped up. And there was a lot of people that were concerned about this unit going into the season, losing Aaron Glenn. But like I said, in key spots, yeah, they put up 30 points on the scoreboard, but it's the Ravens in a desperate situation playing at prime time at home. Like, that's a really tough spot. And they continue to show up when they needed to, time and time again. They really ran it right down Baltimore's throat all night long. I mean, David Montgomery averaged 12.6 a carry with 2 touchdowns, buck 51 on the ground. And then Gibbs had 2 touchdowns as well, averaging 3 yards a carry. And then St. Brown, 7 catches for 77 yards, touchdown. Obviously has that reception to ice the game. Late, Jared Goff played a very efficient game. And this is just another game where Lamar looked really good. I mean, Derrick Henry, he bust that carry in the first quarter, I believe it was, for a touchdown. And you were thinking, oh, man, we're on to a shootout right now. And the game kind of slowed down after that and then got going again late. But I would have liked to have seen more than 12 carries for Derrick Henry. I think that could have made a difference. Obviously, the fumble was crucial. And it's, when a guy continues to put the ball on the ground, it's tough to, keep instilling your trust in them. But at the same time, man, it's Derrick Henry. He's a monster, and he's going to do more good for you than he is bad. But, yeah, Detroit's defense, man, like I said, they stood up. There was a 4th down play where Baltimore went for it inside the 10, and they stood up. They tried doing like a trick play where Henry was going to throw it, and then they got Lamar out on the edge, and Detroit's defense was just ready for it the entire time. They were just swarming to the ball.
Every time.
I mean, credit to them. And Baltimore, they're in a desperate situation right now, going against team Kansas City, where they're both sitting at 1-2. That's really exciting. I mean, one of those teams is going to fall to 1-3. Obviously, there's more though. There's more in Baltimore's offense. Like there's more to be seen from this offense. Like Zay Flowers finishing the day with 2 catches for 13 yards is just completely unacceptable.
Got to get him some more.
You have to get him going. Like Mark Andrews, yes, he had a great game. It looked like vintage Mark Andrews out there. But at the same time, like Zay Flowers has got to be more involved. He has to be.
Right. And it felt like Detroit, every time Baltimore got down near the goal line, Detroit stepped up and had an answer for every play that, Harbaugh and Lamar tried to do. And, you saw the memes throughout, the last couple of days of, Lamar looks peak playoff form, just down near the goal line. But yeah, there is more. Like they haven't peaked. They haven't reached that ceiling yet. And they're 1-2 is just a bad, like they shouldn't have lost that game in Buffalo. So they could easily be sitting here at 2-1.
They could be 3-0, man, easily.
Yeah. So it's just a different, the fumbles right now with Henry, that's not, it's not going to sustain. He's going to be fine. But yeah, I think this is also on the flip side. Like after week 1, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Ben Johnson effect." Detroit, are they going to be any good without him? And I think over the last 2 weeks, I think they're going to be just fine without Ben Johnson. So it was honestly, it was a really good game. It was very entertaining. I think, that's both of these teams are going to have a shot at being in the championship game in each of their conferences. So, yeah, I mean, just a good game. It was exciting. And lastly, on the take that I had about the quarterbacks before I move on, that's all I had on that game. But the 2 that I was thinking about, well, also Likely. What's going on with Isaiah Likely? Where is he? What's he doing?
He's getting close.
Close to coming back?
They were talking about that on air. He's getting close.
Okay. So the quarterbacks I was talking about before we touched on this game, last year, that situation in New England when Drake May was the rookie last year, Brissett, we all knew, like, it's a matter of time. They got to bring Drake May in. And then they brought him in, never looked back, right? Hit the ground running. He kept the job. The one that I was referring to was Bryce Young, right? He was in there, had what, 3 or 4 bad games. They pulled him,
Dalton.
started Andy Dalton, and then Andy Dalton. The only reason why Bryce Young got his job back was because Dalton got hurt. But once Bryce Young did get his job back, he kept it, right? And so that's kind of where I was getting at with that whole thing. But either way, yeah, great week 3 of football. Looking forward to a week 4 slate.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, Detroit finished the day, 224 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns between their 2 backs. One thing to mention is Baltimore was missing Metabike up the middle for them on defense, and then Kyle Van Noy was also out. So those are 2 key losses for that D-line going into that game that just wasn't able to generate pressure, wasn't able to stop the run. Like, their defense, it's going to be better than that going forward. But that is it. That is it for our Week 3 recap, diving through all these games. I want to thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. We'll see you guys soon with our Week 4 preview. Goodbye.
Peace.
When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour. When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll.